In this video, I go fishing with a cod lure in a reservoir that doesn't actually contain Murray cod, with some interesting results, including one totally unexpected catch. I also find myself in what might be called a grave situation. G'day, it's Paul here. I'm here in the last week of winter at Tullaroop Reservoir. The weather is fantastic, it's spring-like, the water is like glass, and yet the boat fishermen I've just spoken to have said there is no fish biting. Well, let's see if we can change that. So the lures, I'll start off with this AI Skin stump jumper, which has caught me some good redfin here on the last couple of trips. And the other one is this Warlock cod lolly, which also catches good sized redfin, and picked me up a redfin here last time that I was here. So we'll get out and we'll get trolling and see how we go. In some of my earlier videos I've mentioned these fantastic FPV trolling motors, which are designed to fit through the pedal well of the Hobie kayaks. Unfortunately, my previous one had a few knocks through my own neglect and was pretty faulty and was starting to play up, so I've just invested in a new one, so hopefully things will be much smoother today. We have a fish on. That didn't take long. I've only been trolling for about 10 minutes. Now I've lost track of which side this is. I think it's the Warlock cod lolly side. It is, and it's a nice little redfin. Well, medium size I would say. It's about, at a glance, I'd say that one's about 30 centimetres long. Maybe a bit bigger. It's a good start. There it is on the cod lolly. There we go, first redfin on the Warlock cod lolly, this one. We'll get a measurement. As I said, it's medium size. As I thought, around the 30 centimetre mark, it's gone 28 centimetres, and we'll get it back in the water. I was here this time last week in completely different conditions to this. It was rainy and grey and pretty miserable, but I did catch a redfin on that Warlock cod lolly, which is the reason why I decided to give it another go today. I'll keep it on because it's obviously attractive to those redfin, and hopefully we'll get a few more. The decision to use these cod lolly lures while targeting redfin here the last couple of weeks hasn't been a completely random choice. I did catch some nice redfin as bycatch earlier in the year while using these lures to target cod. So they're turning out to be a good lure, and of course they've also caught me some native fish as well. Okay, on again. And I'm thinking this feels a bit bigger. Certainly moving the kayak around a bit. Again, it's on the Warlock cod lolly. It's the lure doing that trick at the moment. What have we got? I must have had that line out of fairway. I didn't mean to have it out that far. Oh, that's a big redfin. I can see it. That is a nice redfin, and it's not hooked very well. So stay on fish. You're too nice a fish to lose. Gotcha! Just! Oh, did you see that lure fly off? There you go, big fat redfin. So just got the measurement on that one, and it's gone 34 centimetres. Chunky little redfin. And the good news is the fish are getting bigger in size, so hopefully the next one will be even bigger still. But this is a fantastic start to the trip in just the first sort of 25-30 minutes. Let's get this one back in the water. Okay, bye-bye redfin. Just had an interesting conversation with an angler on the bank then. He recognised me from the YouTube channel and explained that he'd come here today because he'd seen me fish here on YouTube and was asking me about the duo lures that featured in one of my previous YouTubes. And, I reckon that's fantastic. I know there are some people who probably get a bit funny about YouTubers giving away fishing locations, but I've learned a lot from watching YouTube. I didn't fish a lot when I was younger, so a lot of what I've learned is from YouTube and from trial and error. And, knowing the location is just part of catching fish. You've still got to go out there and do the work. So I don't have a problem at all with sharing a bit of knowledge and information. Okay, time for a bit of a break and to stretch the legs. Been trolling for a bit over an hour since catching those two fish and no luck, but I'm going to head back in a moment to where I caught them for the last hour and a half or so of light. But before I do, let's have a look at something really interesting on the edge of the water here. In an earlier video that I made here at Tallarupa, I mentioned that a really interesting feature of the reservoir is the old graveyard and church, normally right on the water's edge. The water's down a little bit, but still pretty close to the edge of the water, probably about a 20-metre walk. Never stopped and had a look, but fascinated to see what's on these gravestones and how long ago it was that people were buried here. A few more graves over the back there. As you can see, they all relate to members of the Bucknell family. And this one's a 1934. Most of the others go back to the late 1800s. Really does remind you, though, that like with most of our waterways, there were communities living here before these creeks and rivers were dammed. All right, let's get back to it. All right, I'm back on already. Should have stayed at this end of the reservoir because this seems to be where all the fish are. It's on the cod lolly again. And there's another redfin that is only just hooked. Not a big redfin, but it's pretty tiny actually. But let's have a look at that one. There we go. Okay, see you, Mr. Redfin. Let's fish on. I've just pulled that lure off a snag and I've come up with a big yabby. Unbelievable. Well, there you go. They're an amazing lure. They even catch big yabbies. Look at him. He's got one big claw and one small one, but I've cut it out of the line and it's time to get this yabby back. See you later, yabby. There he goes. That does explain why the redfin are so keen on these cod lollies though, because they are supposed to be a yabby imitation. So there's obviously a few around even though the water's cold, and I reckon the redfin must be feeding on them. Let's hope they're hungry for a few more. Actually think what had happened there was that the yabby wasn't actually caught on the lure. I think the yabby was wrapped in that fishing line, and then I snagged the fishing line, including the yabby. But either way, it's now free. All right, so I just lost the cod lolly on a snag, but I've got another one here in a different colour. Will be an opportunity to see whether the colour really matters. Hopefully not. I'm on the home stretch. It's time to go home and watch the footy. So 3 fish, 2 reasonably good sized redfin and a small one and a yabby. But I'm grateful for that. There's a lot of people out on the water today and I didn't see too many fish being caught, and it's just been a spectacular day. So grateful for a nice afternoon on the water. Thanks for watching.